Hi class, it's Wednesday, so that means it's Art with Mrs. Lee. And today we're going to make a painting with our new watercolors. So you're going to need your new watercolors, your new brush, a cup of water, your piece of watercolor paper. Now you have watercolor paper that I gave you, and it's different than your white paper, okay? It kind of has a texture to it. So make sure you have a piece of your watercolor paper. And you need a black crayon, okay? And before we get started, let's look at this wonderful piece of art that I made that's a lot like Paul Klee. Now, hopefully you saw the video yesterday about Paul Klee. He's a very famous artist, and he was an abstract artist, as you can tell. This is his version, or my version of his painting Cat and Bird, okay? So obviously you can see where the cat is and where the bird is. So you're going to make your own version of Cat and Bird using the watercolors, crayon, and watercolor paper. But before we start drawing, I want to talk about warm and cool colors. Now, can anyone tell me what are the three warm colors?
Red, orange, and yellow.
That's correct. And on your little watercolor palette here, you see red, orange, yellow. Those are the colors you're going to paint the cat and the bird. Can anyone tell me what the three cool colors are?
Green, blue, and purple.
That's right. Very good. And those are the three colors that you can use to paint the background. Now, I chose blue and purple. Now you can see by these watercolors, they're not as colorful or bright as those liquid watercolors that we use in class. But they're still a lot of fun, and they still make a very cool painting. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to draw our cat and our bird. Now I want to say one thing is I'm going to go ahead and draw with my crayon. But what I would like you to do when you do this is to practice once with a pencil on scrap paper, okay? Don't start drawing on your watercolor paper until you've practiced at least once drawing with me on a piece of regular white paper. You can draw with a crayon or a pencil to start, okay? But once you feel good and confident, then get out your watercolor paper and start drawing with me, okay? And here we're gonna start. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a straight line for the top of the head of the cat. Now we have to make sure we've got some room for our bird. So if you put four of your fingers at the top, that means you got enough room for some sky and your bird, and that's where you're going to start your straight line, okay? And you're going to make a nice straight line all the way, not all the way across, like that, okay? Then we're going to make the line that finishes his face, which also makes his nose. So there's kind of a loop in the middle and back to the top, okay? Now notice I make the cat big. The cat is bigger than the bird. You don't want to make a tiny little cat because then the bird will look funny on his head. So you want to make a nice big cat. Now you've got his face here. You're going to make two straight lines down to the end of the paper for his neck. Okay, then you need to make a tongue for the cat, which is kind of like a happy face or happy sign. Then you're going to make his eyes, two eyes for the cat. Make a rainbow line and then a smiley face line. Okay, rainbow line, smiley face line. All right, and then in that you want to make two little slightly curvy lines so you can make the iris, the middle of his eye there, okay? And you're going to paint those later on. Now he also needs what? Whiskers, right? So you're going to make three whiskers on each side of his nose. So there's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we've got his whiskers. What's left? The bird, right? So this is how we're going to start the bird. You need to make again, we're going to start with a straight line. That's his back. All right, and then we're going to make a slightly curved line for his head, and then we're going to go all the way around to the back of the bird. and meet up with that straight line. Then we're going to make a sideways triangle for his beak, a dot for his eye. We're going to make half a circle there as his wing. And then we're going to make 3 tail feathers. All right, and of course we need his legs and his feet, right? He's got 3 little claws there for feet. All right, so now you've got your cat and bird drawn. Now I would probably go over a few of these lines with your crayon, make sure they're nice and dark, and so that they show up once you start painting over them, okay? Nice and dark, you want some nice dark lines to show up. So if they look kind of light, go over them a little bit. Now one last thing we need to do before we start painting is putting our name on it, right? We're an artist, so we need to put our name on the left-hand corner. Now of course I'm going to write Mrs. Lee. Whoops, my crayon broke, and that's okay. So you're going to put Mrs. Well, you're going to put your name. I'm going to put Mrs. Lee. All right, just like a real artist does. All right, so now we're going to start painting. The first thing we need to do is we need to make sure our brush is nice and wet. Now we're using what we call palette watercolors. So they need lots of water. The liquid watercolors we use in class, you don't need to add any water to them, but these you need lots of water. So first you need to make sure your brush is nice and wet, all right? And we're going to do the cat and bird first, and we're going to use the warm colors. Remember, you can use red, orange, and yellow, all right? And you can mix them. As you can see, I added red and the orangish color. Looks kind of yellow. It's kind of a yellow-orange. Anyway, I added those 2 colors in the cat. So again, you're going to need lots of water to get that red, which is turning out a little pink, and that's okay, but you got to put some water into it, get it nice and wet, and then you're going to go back and forth in the same direction, one back and forth across your paper to start watercoloring your cat. Okay, once you start running out of some watercolor, you want to add some more. Okay, see how that works? You don't want to try to make sure you don't get into the eyes. I'm going to make my eyes a different color. Looks like I need a little bit more water. So I'm going to change colors now because I like the way the 2 colors go together. Right? So what do? We wash our brush. And I'm going to try out some yellow. Again, add water. And you can add some yellow. All right, so now I've got his face all painted. Like I said, you can blend the 2 colors together. It makes it look a lot more interesting. I'm washing my brush again because I'm going to use some orange on my bird. All right, and I'm going to make him all orange. Now again, these colors are kind of light, but you can see that once it dries, it'll be an orange kind of color. All right, and make sure you got them all painted orange. All right, now don't forget you've got his tongue and his neck to do too, but I'm going to move on. I'm going to paint his eyes, and I'm going to paint them yellow. So go back to the yellow. I'm going to paint the irises there, yellow. All right, so I'm going to move on to the background just to save some time because I think you guys got it and you understand warm and cool colors. Warm colors for the cat and bird. Now cool colors, which are green, blue, and purple for the background. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little green. Again, lots of water. Do not be afraid to add water to your watercolors. All right, and I'm going to color the background. I'm starting with some green. See, I'm going back and forth with my brush. It's much easier, nice big strokes. Remember we talked about brush strokes in class? Use nice big strokes. It covers a lot of area on your paper, a lot of space on your paper really fast. And these dry really fast. These watercolors dry very fast. That's why you need lots of water. But you don't want them to puddle on your paper. Okay, so for time-wise, I'm going to change my colors, but I'd probably use green a little bit more, and I'm going to try to use a little purple on here too. Right? Again, lots of water. You can go over your name, no problem. You're going to be able to see it through your watercolors. But you want to paint the whole background. All right, so you're going to paint the top two, and I'll show you a little bit, but I want you to get started, and I think you guys have the idea of what you need to do. But see how pretty that blue looks? So I kept that blue for the sky area. Okay, but you're going to want to color the whole thing, or paint the whole thing with your brush. Nice big strokes. All right. So there's gives you an idea of what we need to do to make our cat and bird Paul Klee art project, okay? Now I can't wait to see these. I want to see these on Mrs. McGraw's Facebook page. I love seeing your artwork. Can't wait to see your own cat and bird. See you next week.